As a follower of Jesus Christ, I know that this world is not my eternal home. But I know God is here, and I've felt his presence and experienced his joy and his peace. And it makes me wonder what that looks like. What does heaven on earth look like?
Like for my life specifically, I held on to two things that were really important to me was my relationship, my dating relationship last year, and the other thing was like what my life was meant for. And I tried to make things work, and they just never did. But I know the reason now is because my hope wasn't put in the Lord, it was put in what I could accomplish, what I could do. I went backpacking this past August. God spoke to me the entire time. And so I'm climbing up like this sheer like wall of rock, basically. And once I got up that thing, it's actually, it felt so unexplainable. And like it's just God showing me that, with him anything is possible.
I let Jesus back in my heart and made him like the Lord of my life last Easter. And I had really been into like a lot of like drugs, like shrooms, and like I was smoking weed every day for about like 9 months at one point. And a few months after that, I was like at a friend's house and they had offered me to hit their bong. I kind of just stepped into that place knowing that it was going to be there, and I was like, oh, I can be strong, I can do it, but I wasn't strong enough. This was after I'd gotten saved. And so then I get in my car and I start driving home, and I'm listening to music that I just used to listen to a lot when I was high. I was like really high. I was like sinking back into my chair. It was like I was kind of losing like control of my body, and immediately this like fear set in my heart, and I was like, holy crap, like this is not a joke what I'm messing with. Like this is so real and there's evil. And I just cried out to God and I was like, God, I'm so sorry, like help me. I'm literally terrified in this moment. I was driving the entire time, and all of a sudden like the dark presence went away and the presence of God like filled my car. And the only words that I can use to describe that moment was that heaven was open in my car. Like I felt for the first time in my life, like I had never felt the presence of God that near. He was so real, and he was in my car with me at that moment. And it's like, yeah, I can't ever have enough words to describe it, but Jesus came and he saved me.
So, specifically, I wanted to talk about hope because I think it's something that people forget that we have. Even people who do know Jesus, I know that I can easily forget. Everything about the personhood of Jesus is just perfection in itself. Like every single good thing that you could ever think of in your mind, that's Jesus. That's who he is. He became sin. He himself, the thing that separated us from Jesus, sin, he became that. And so, heaven is him. It's heaven because Jesus is there.
I think heaven feels like oneness with God. He created heaven. So when I think of heaven, I think of God, his presence. And when I feel his presence, it's euphoric. It's bubbly and positive and unnecessarily just joyous. Like there's no, like, you don't need a reason, but it's 100% positive. And just what feels like a hug, a spiritual hug. And wholeness with God is what I think heaven is.
A close family member to me last year had a very serious surgery where she had to have a transplant. And in the midst of that process, actually ended up passing away and having to be resuscitated. While that was taking place, she had a vision of heaven. And I had a chance to sit down with her. And so we opened up the scriptures and began to read the words of Revelation 22 as she had tears well up in her eyes, and she described, "That's what I saw." So for someone to have no frame of reference to the scriptural vision of heaven and then to have experienced it and for it to line up with the Bible is incredibly profound.
All fear had been completely wiped away, and it was just this overwhelming love that I don't think with my human mind I'll ever be able to fully comprehend, like fell in my car. And I felt fully loved despite of like my actions and who I was and what I had done. So yeah, just a really overwhelming feeling that God was with me. That's what it felt like.
Through our faith in Jesus, love for Him and for others, and our hope that's deeply rooted in the cross, I think that the Lord gives us the gift of little glimpses of heaven here on earth. Lord, show us heaven. Show us what it's like. Make us people who are rooted in that place.